I had to rotate my camera, but that's okay. Hello, loved ones. This is my very first live stream, so bear with me. Anyway, hello, loved ones. If you are familiar with the audio podcast, yeah, you're probably ready about now, ready to hear there is a distance in the light and all that. So anyway, I just released a video just a little bit ago where I was talking about placebo and what else was I talking about? And also, well, like if someone were actually to be diagnosed with something, some terminal illness, to where they were going to be like given a life expectancy of say 6 months or whatever, then uh, or whatever, then they then they don't. But then they what they do then? I gotta get this plug now. That's not so great, but whatever. So I had to get the video. I had to get the yeah mic set up now. So much better sound quality. Anyway, so I did a video earlier to where I was talking about placebo effect, and then I kind of went on with if you had been given a life expectancy of say 6 months, but you were like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm trying to manifest health and all of that. Then in that case, what I would always recommend you do, and I mean, I've heard other people say this, this isn't something new to me, but it is very good advice. So if you were say, let's say, no, I'm going to be healthy. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be so healthy that I'm going to run a marathon. There's such and such marathon coming up next, 10 months from now, I think is what I said. Such and such marathon coming up in 10 months. And at that point, I want to be to the point where I'm healthy enough to run this marathon. Now, most people might think you're crazy. Most people might think, "What do you mean? You've got a terminal illness and you're going to be diagnosed. You're given a life expectancy of 6 months. How do you expect to be running a marathon in 10 months? You're not even supposed to be alive." But that's when you kind of reject those types of things. That's when you say, "No, I'm not doing that. What I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and book my room. I'm going to go ahead and book the travel because anytime there's a major event like a marathon going on, it's going to be, hotels are going to get booked out pretty quick. So I better go ahead and take care of that, even though it's 10 months away. So go ahead and get all these preparations, all these plans made. And not to mention, you got to train for a marathon, which is no small feat. So if you start doing all of those things, meaning you're basically telling you're basically telling the universe, or you're telling whatever the case may be, I intend to be alive at that point. I intend to be alive 10 months from now. So screw your old whatever. Screw that. So if that's when people say let's manifest, what they mean is you don't manifest like money. You manifest experiences, things like that. But anyway, that's not what I was really talking about in this particular thing here. But that is usually something that a lot of people want to talk about because it is, I mean, it's important because everybody wants to manifest, have a great life, and all that stuff. But your higher self doesn't really care about having a crap ton of money in the bank. Your higher self is more concerned with experiences. Your higher self is more concerned with, I don't know, gaining knowledge, gaining wisdom, gaining experiences. And that's what you're here for. I usually use the video game analogy where, like, your true higher self is out here, out there, just like in a video game. And this body that you are jacked into through the brain, this is just your vehicle. This is just your means of navigating, of interacting with with the construct, with this whole realm, physicality. So, you can't go to space without a spacesuit. You can't go, anywhere you go, you have to be able to move around in it. So anyway, so these bodies, it's not who you truly are. Who you truly are is on the outside. But there's kind of rules to the game, and the rules are, well, you can't come into this knowing your true power, because if you did that, well, then there would be really no struggle, and struggle is kind of where what builds character. Struggle is where we gain experience. That's where we learn what we've come here to learn. So you can't really come here knowing that, but you do discover your true power. You do figure it out, and then whenever you do figure it out, well, here you are, right? So anyway, but your higher power is not interested in manifesting $1 million in the bank. It doesn't care. That's not experience. That's not really gaining any insight. That's not gaining any wisdom. That's nothing you can't. That's not really gaining anything you can take with you. In fact, you're not going to take anything with you. This body that you're jacked into, every single particle that makes up every single atom is going to stay right here when you're gone. When you detach from this and you go back out there, everything in here is going to stay right here. The only thing you're going to take with you is experiences, your memories, and lessons learned, and all of those kinds of things. So when people want to manifest experiences, manifest, vacations, things with your family, manifest. But it's like, okay, well, what about the money? What about this and that? Man, you got to have money to do these things. That's always going to be a byproduct, but that's going to be the secondary thing. When you manifest something, it's like, I need, it's like in the case of somebody who has been diagnosed with whatever, been given 6 months to live, and they're like, no, screw that. I'm not, no. As a matter of fact, I'm going to run a marathon in 10 months. Well, they're going to need money, and they're going to need to train. They're going to need to be healthy. Hardly somebody who's been diagnosed with some terminal illness. But that's them rejecting that and then saying, that's not me. In fact, I'm going to be so healthy, and I'm going to have enough money in the bank where I can go and do all these things. But the money is secondary. So, anyway, that's not what I was saying that I was going to do in this original thing here. Originally, I was going to talk about vibration and how in vibration well, wait a minute. Okay, sorry. I was getting my chat messages up there. So, anyway, with regards to vibration, most people hear about frequency and vibration, and they kind of think that they kind of go together. They do go together, but it's not the same thing. Okay, so vibration is when anything moves and it's one cycle or whatever. But the frequency is how many cycles does it do in a second. So like if something oscillates back and forth once in a second, then that's 1 hertz. That's the frequency of one. And then so we in this realm, I'm going to make up some hypothetical numbers here because it really doesn't matter. The point is, let's say if there's of a frequency scale of 1 through 1,000, okay, and we can perceive in this physical realm, we can perceive anything from 10 to 100. But anything over 100, we can't perceive it. Maybe we can detect it. Maybe we can, you know, calculate it, but we can't actually see it. We can't actually perceive it with these physical bodies. So, but see, that would explain a lot of things, like all these. You hear all kinds of ghost stories. Shit, I've made videos here and had things. Well, I don't know. I'd have to show you the video. But where there's something, I don't know, some kind of little smoke thing manifested and went straight down behind me, back here behind me in my little bookshelf back here. But things like that we can't normally see. Why? Because it's on a different frequency, you know. So you always hear these ghost stories, or I don't know what, Sasquatch and stuff like that. Like, do I believe in Sasquatch, Bigfoot? I mean, I don't know. I don't really. It's not something I really think about. I mean, I do think, okay, well, so for literally centuries, there's been thousands of people on literally every single continent have all described seeing this being. Okay, I don't think they're all having some mass hallucination over the course of centuries and over the course of continents all around the world. So yeah, they're seeing something. They're not all crazy, but I don't think it's some primate. I don't think it's some wild man that lives in a cave. I mean that's a little bit being a little bit too simplistic. But could it be something else that vibrates on a different frequency, but it's maybe a little bit closer to ours, and so therefore sometimes it kind of bleeds into ours? Yeah, that would make a lot more sense. Because like in the Kybalion, it says all is mind. Everything vibrates. Everything exists in the mind of the all. Call it God. I like to call it the Creator. Although the all is pretty cool too. And so is Oversoul. Oversoul is a pretty good word. But any of these things that vibrate, they vibrate on their own frequency. They may be living right beside you right now. You wouldn't know. Maybe they don't even know you're there. But once in a while, the two frequencies, maybe they're so close, they bleed together. So anyway, there's that. And there are people saying hi, hello, hi, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in. Of course, there's nobody in here right now, and that's cool. I didn't have my camera set up the right way. I suppose while nobody's on here, I can fix that and get a drink of coffee. Oh my God, it's hot. Yeah. Speaking of which, and besides, this stream is going to be, I guess, archived in my lives anyway. So that's cool. But when I talk about vibration, I talk about. I'm gonna find it. As long as nobody's on here, I'm cool. It don't matter. It's actually a lot less pressure that way. 74. I should have known it by now. Vibration, nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. The Kybalion. The great third Hermetic principle, the principle of vibration, embodies the truth that motion is manifest in everything in the universe, that nothing is at rest, that everything moves, vibrates, and circles. This Hermetic principle was recognized by some of the early Greek philosophers who embodied it in their systems, but then for centuries it was lost sight of by the thinkers outside of the Hermetic ranks. But in the 19th century, physical science rediscovered the truth, and the 20th century scientific discoveries have added additional proof of the correctness and truth of the centuries old Hermetic principle. Everything moves, nothing rests, ever. And, like, one of the things that it talks about a lot of times is that, like, even the Creator, even God, the original I am, or the All, it vibrates at such a rate of speed that it appears to be at rest. Just like when you see a wheel turning. A wheel turning, once it starts turning so fast, it gets to the point where it doesn't even appear to be turning. But it is. It's just going so fast that it doesn't even appear to be. And then there's other things that are so low vibrational, such as, I don't know, gravel. It is at such a low rate of vibration that it appears to, again, appears to be at rest. It appears to not be moving at all. But it is, because everything moves, everything vibrates. And that's the third principle in the Kybalion. But anyway, so, but then everything else, excuse me, everything else falls in between. You, me, plants, animals, everything. Everything that we can perceive is within a particular vibratory range. If we can see it, if we can perceive it, then has to be within a particular vibratory range. Now, like in Stalking the Wild Pendulum by Itzhak Bentov, it talks about how if you zoom in on an atom and you keep zooming in and zooming in, eventually you're going to see the nucleus. And it's like, well, the first thing you're going to notice is an atom is an empty space, mostly empty space. And then you're like, oh, well, there's the nucleus. That's something solid anyway, right? So you just keep zooming in. But once you get in there enough, you realize, wow, that is just an oscillating field of energy. All that is energy vibrating, energy in motion. And at what rate it vibrates is what determines what is an atom of. Now, back out and look at this body, this avatar. It's made up of, I don't know, what, trillions of atoms? Sure. Each one, depending upon what it is an atom of, what it vibrate, what its vibratory rate is. But it all kind of culminates to human. So this human form vibrates a certain way. Same thing goes from a microphone. It's vibrating at a certain frequency. It's just whatever it's made up of, all kind of coming together in a little symphony of vibration. But so there's that. But then we zoom on, we keep zooming out, and we look at the planet, and the planet has its own vibration. They call it the Schumann resonance. It's kind of the sound that the planet makes, and that fluctuates. That goes up and down based on what's going on with whatever stuff that I'm not that concerned about because I'm more of a spiritual guy, not science. I mean, I know it's more to do with like the electromagnetic field, but it's all to do with vibration. And as you zoom out, you keep looking, and the more you look, you see that everything has its own vibration, and depending upon what it vibrates, it determines what it is. And from the smallest atom to, I mean, if you zoom out and look at the solar system as a whole, you realize that it looks just like an atom. It looks like an atom with the nucleus in the center and electrons whipping around time to time, such as planets, but mostly wide open empty space. But it vibrates at a certain rate, and that determines what it is. And if you keep zooming out, goodness, keep zooming out, you always see that. And as you see that, you realize there are some things, like a lot of astronomers and astrophysicists have determined that there's a lot of things out there that we can't see. They can detect them. They can maybe even, I don't know, work physics problems and figure out that there's something there. But it's like we can't perceive it. We can only kind of detect it. We can tell that something's going on there, but we don't know what it is. So, anyway, sorry I had to take care of my phone because I forgot to do that. But anyway, so whenever, so oh god, all right, whatever it's vibrating at determines what it is, and we can only see it between a certain range, right? So when you hear scientists or whatever talk about dark matter and dark energy and all that stuff, all that really means is it's like, we know something's there, but we can't perceive it. We can detect it. We can maybe calculate that it's most likely there. So what's kind of cool about that, though, really, is that, I mean, it's just kind of speculating, but it really means that there could be whole bodies there. There could be whole planets. There could be whole everything there, but it's on such a rate of vibration that we can't detect it. So what do we call it? Because we don't know what it is, we call it dark energy. We call it dark matter. It just means we can't see it. That's all it really means. But what it means to those of us in the spiritual community, it means to us, it's like, well, that thing probably vibrates at such a rate that we can't see it. So we can't So, but we can figure out, we can know that it's there. It's kind of like dimensional. Most physicists have determined that there's 11 dimensions. All right, we're in 3 dimensions. Some would say four, or moving in fourth and or fifth dimension. That's something else. I mean, ascension. A lot of spiritual people think we are ascending into higher dimensions. I tend to agree, but I don't think it's going to necessarily happen in this lifetime. It's just you're kind of in this life preparing for that. But anyway, that's beside the point. But they've been able to determine that there's some say 11 dimensions, some people say 13. Some have even said that it's possible that there's an unlimited amount of dimensions. The only thing that our brain can even comprehend really is three, because that's what we live in. We live in 3 dimensions. We can see it, things in one and two and 3 dimensions. But any object that were to live in 2 dimensions couldn't see us. It could see anything in one and two. So through physics, they're able to determine, yeah, there's probably 11. Some say 11, some say 13 dimensions, and some say that it could be literally unlimited amount. I don't know, but I do know that there are things that out there that we just cannot see. You can't, like for example, the light spectrum, and I've got it pulled up here, but I don't really want. I'm afraid This is my first live stream, so I'm afraid I'm going to mess up my thing here if I go and jack things around. So I'm not going to pull it up. But most people have seen the light spectrum, and when you see the light spectrum, it's usually a band like this, and then right in the middle, like about that much of it, is what we call visible light. What we humans are able to see. So when we look at that and we think, well, that's all I can see. But I know that there's other stuff there, right? Because we can detect it. I mean, we do have, I don't know, like x rays, for example. I mean, we do have instruments that can detect all of those other things and they can see all those other things. Like there's things in space that cannot be seen unless you're looking at it with an x ray telescope. That tells you that that's giving off x ray light or it's only detectable in that band. But it goes a lot deeper than that. All this stuff's vibration and light, visible light and perceivable vibration. I mean, like I said earlier, if anybody's here, probably wasn't here when I said it. Like for example, I'm not a big Bigfoot guy. I don't really care about Bigfoot. I don't know. I mean, only thing I can say is for centuries on every single planet or every single continent on the planet has been people who have reported seeing something that sounds like a Sasquatch or whatever. It's like, does it exist? I mean, yeah, probably. I guess. I mean, these people aren't all having this mass hallucination over the course of centuries, by the way. But does it exist in our plane of existence? Does it exist in our dimension? Probably not. It's probably something else that's on a little bit higher band, like the radio station thing. Like if we tune into 100 channel 100, we can't tune into 101. We know it's there, and if you're able to tune to it, you could see what's on there. But let's say something that's on 101 sometimes kind of bleeds into 100, and that would explain why we see some things here that we can't explain. That's why we see things that kind of phase in and phase back out. Paranormal stuff, which I used to be into that kind of stuff. I used to think that was neat, all the ghost hunters and but the more I get into spirituality, the more I believe in that kind of stuff, but I just don't care anymore because I'm like, yeah, it's there, it's fine. That's cool. It's there. So we'll let that go. It's on its own little frequency. It's on its own bandwidth or whatever, wavelength, and it's doing its own thing. It's living its life there, right? And all of them can be in one place. It's like right now there's radio waves, hundreds of them going through this room, going through my body right now. Can I detect them? No, because I'm not tuned into them. But if I tuned into them, but then I could perceive it. And that's all it really is. It's all vibration really is what you're able to perceive. So, kind of, if you want to go full circle back around to like manifestation, then yeah, that's what they mean when they say get your vibration into into alignment with the experience there with the experience that you want to experience. If there's a life that you want to live, but it's not usually about, like I say, it's not about stacking money in the bank. Your higher self doesn't care. It's not going to help you do that. It's like whatever. We're here for experiences. We're here to gain knowledge. That's all. So I see there's a couple of people here. Hello, live chat. There they are. How's it going? I see you, real life SOS. You just logged off on me. Thanks a lot. Anyway, this is my first live stream, and I am going to probably cut it off here pretty soon. And I do appreciate anybody who stopped by. I do post videos, and I do some shorts. I usually run some shorts out of the videos that I post. But this was more just kind of a rambling. I'm like, what can I get on there and talk about? I'm thinking, well, vibration is a good one. And it's something that a lot of people are interested in, but they really don't. I don't know. A lot of people don't like talking about it. I mean, well, they do like talking about it, but I guess, I don't know. I guess it's not too sexy of a subject. It's not all that, it doesn't have that it factor. But at the same time, it's still something that everybody loves to talk about. I was like, well, I don't know. But so there you go. Anyway, but if anybody is interested in that kind of thing, this is the best place to start. Right there, the Kybalion. It's an excellent place to start because it explains that all is mind. And all that really means is that everything exists inside the mind of the all or the creator or God. Pick your title, it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. So all exists in the mind of the all. And it's like, well, what does that mean? It means that the all had an awakening. It had that moment where it's like, whoa, I exist. Therefore, I am. And then it began creating in its imagination, in its wonderful, vast imagination. And it's like, and some people think that's kind of a crappy way of looking at things. So what you're saying is we don't really exist. We just live in the imagination of the creator. It's like, yeah, but that's okay. That's fine. Because really, and I've kind of gone through this with like atheists and stuff and people who are just strictly materialist people who think that the Big Bang is the only thing that ever happened and the expansion of space and it's eventually going to be come back together for the big crunch. And it's like, really, that's what you believe? Because I mean, without mind, I mean, I guess it just shows where I'm at, because I'm like, to me, I don't understand how someone can even begin to not believe in something outside of just physicality. Because it's like, well, like the observer effect, it's like nothing really is there until somebody observes it. I mean, the double slit experiment proves that. So it's like when I talk to people who are like that, who believe that way, I'm like, how can you be that way? How can you really believe that this is it? That really, like, literally, time, space, and distance are exactly what we've been told, and by the sciences and all that stuff. So that's very hopeless. I mean, it really is. That would suck. Yeah. Who was it that said, "Oh man, shit"? Well, if I didn't trying to think of it. Anyway, really great quote is, um, the thought that we are alone, or the thought that we're not alone in the universe, is equally as terrifying as the thought that we're not alone in the universe is equally as terrifying as the thought that we are alone in the universe. Something like that. So the thought that we are not alone is pretty terrifying. And then the thought that we are alone is pretty terrifying. I mean, in either way, it's pretty freaking terrifying, right? So, but I mean, it's like, I think that the thought that we aren't alone or that we are alone is far more terrifying. But anyway, I think I'm going to cut it on off now. And I do appreciate anybody sticking with me here. But I might do live streams from time to time. Just I might just do the random ones. I mean, it seems like a lot of people do that. They just kind of jump on when they want to just randomly do stuff. And I'm like, that's cool. I could probably pull that off. I mean, just get off and get on here and just randomly just ramble. But I think it would be better to do presentations, especially with the kind of stuff that I talk about. You know, it's like I'm not the type. I'm not gonna have my camera just set up and you're gonna be watching me cook or sleep. I mean, I literally have scrolled through people's live streams and see people like literally sleeping, or literally just like sitting around playing cards, like two people sitting around playing cards, and they just or sitting at a like at a restaurant eating dinner, and they just kind of got the phone just kind of propped up there. I'm like, people watch this. I mean, and then some people will like put together very well thought out presentations, and but they've got a good community of people that are following them, and they're kind of working out and playing off each other. Maybe it's somebody who does a lot of research into stuff, and I do a lot of research into spiritual stuff. I like to look into a little bit of science to kind of back it up when I can, but I am definitely not a sciencey guy. So, so, so if I'm going to, I'm not a sciencey guy. So it's hard for me to look into a lot of science stuff to back up what I believe in spiritually. Although it's there, like the double slit experiment. The double slit experiment absolutely proves a lot of spiritual stuff. And then, well, like reading that book right there. Yeah, that book right there goes all on the mechanics of consciousness. So it's like the sciencey stuff about woo woo stuff. Yeah. So there's that. Anyway, loved ones, if anybody sees this and you wouldn't mind, please give me a like, a share, and all that good stuff. And of course, please subscribe to the channel. Would greatly appreciate it if you'd help me grow it and kind of branching off of the audio podcast with this. And I also blog and I do a lot of stuff on X too. So you can follow me there. It's Matt Stevens MSA. And the podcast is called My Sober Addiction. It's also on YouTube. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you. But yes, definitely give me a subscribe and all that good stuff. I definitely love you. And I will be back directly.